Some of the most barbaric events in our history occurred after enslaved humans were emancipated. Jim Crow laws were a collection of statutes at the local and state level that legalized racial segregation. Named after Black minstrel shows, the laws, which existed for about 100 years from the post-Civil War era all the way to 1968, had one main purpose. They were meant to marginalize African American people by denying them the right to vote, denying them the ability to obtain a job with high status, denying them their education, and denying them all the opportunities that white people had. The root of Jim Crow laws began in 1865, immediately following the ratification of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery in the United States. Here's the problem. The 13th Amendment didn't abolish all slavery. It still allowed for slavery of a person who was incarcerated for a crime. Black codes were state and local laws that detailed when, where, and how formerly enslaved people could work and for how much compensation. Black codes controlled every aspect of a Black person's life to the point where it was almost illegal to exist. Black codes appeared throughout the South as a legal way to put Black citizens into indentured servitude, to take their voting rights away, to control where they lived, how they traveled. It also provided free labor to businesses who could take advantage, abuse, lie, cheat, and harm them. There's a book called Slavery by Another Name, and it was written by Douglas Blackman. The book speaks of the re-enslavement of Black Americans from the Civil War to World War II. Many people get the idea from their history textbooks in school that after emancipation, everything was going great. The laws had changed and people just got along. That couldn't be further from the truth. Did you really think a law could change someone's heart? Those who attempted to defy Jim Crow laws were faced with arrests, fines, jail sentences, violence, torture, and death. For newly freed Black people, Jim Crow and Black codes spelled intimidation to the most barbaric degree. But Jim Crow laws were so much more than just laws. The following 10 Jim Crow etiquette norms show how inclusive, purposely demeaning, and economically impactful these laws were by thwarting upward mobility, inclusivity, social and psychological well-being. The Jim Crow system worked as a cultural guideline to somehow justify the following beliefs or rationalizations. White people were superior to Blacks in all ways, including but not limited to intelligence, morality, and civilized behavior. One of the strongest beliefs was that sexual relations between Black and whites would produce a mongrel race which would destroy America. They believed that treating Blacks as equals would encourage interracial sexual unions. And if necessary, violence must be used to keep Black people at the bottom of the racial hierarchy. A Black male couldn't offer his hand to shake hands with a white male because it implied social equality. Obviously, a Black man could not offer his hand or any other part of his body to a white woman because he risked being accused of rape. Black people and white people were not supposed to eat together. But if they did, the white people would be served first, and a partition would be placed between them. Under no circumstance was a Black male to offer to light the cigarette of a white woman. That gesture implied intimacy. It was forbidden for Black people to show affection in public towards one another because it offended white people. Jim Crow etiquette prescribed that Black people were introduced to white people, never white to Black. White people addressed Black people by their first names, but Black people had to use courteous titles of respect when referring to white people, like Miss, Ma'am, Mrs., Sir, etc. And of course, if a Black person happened to be riding in a car a white person was driving, the Black person sat in the back or in the back of the truck. White motorists had right-of-way at all intersections, even if the Black person got there before them. There were very specific rules when a Black person conversed with a white person. Never impute dishonorable intentions to a white person. Never suggest that a white person is from an inferior class. Never lay claim to or overly demonstrate superior knowledge or intelligence. Never swear or curse at a white person. Never laugh derisively at a white person. And never comment on the appearance of a white female.